Greetings, Moonlight citizens. This is your Moonlight King here with another episode of Moonlight Kingdom Reviews. This episode is covering Southland Tales, the Richard Kelly directed, Dwayne Johnson and Sean William Scott starring sci-fi action comedy, I guess? Satire? Who knows? Let's get into that. I took notes. Right off the bat, man, I needed to be known that I took notes. Like any deviation from these notes will likely I'm definitely gonna stick to these notes because any deviation will probably lead to further confusion and just this review making less sense than the movie, which itself makes little to no. It makes sense, but by the time it does make sense, it's like it's too late. That's just right off the bat. This review is reviewing Southland Tales. Some background before we get into this, because man, we surely need it for this to make sense. Anyway. Directed by Richard Kelly, starring Dwayne Johnson, Sean William Scott, christopherlambert, Justin Timberlake, etc. Sarah Michelle Gellar's in here. With a budget of $17 million, a box office of $374,743. Oh, it's a bomb. Produced by Universal Studios, Sony Pictures, Samuel Golden Films. Yeah. This movie was written by Richard Kelly in 2001 and was slated to be filmed in 2004, but didn't start filming until 2005. Yeah, this movie, even the making of this movie was a disaster show, which is pretty messed. This movie feels like it was. Yeah, if you watch this movie, you'd swear this movie was made in like 2003 or something, with all the tropes and like the topic and whatever, man. But that's, you know what? That's all the background you need for this. Let's get into the movie. All right, this Southland Tales. It tries to do the Star Wars thing, starting with Episode 4 and ending with Episode 6, but it messes that up since, Star Wars Episode 4 to 6 could exist on their own, even if you hadn't seen the prequels. This film isn't like that. It's a sequel to a film that doesn't exist. It's like starting a series on Episode 4 as if the audience has already seen episodes 1 to 3. Granted, there's this animated, okay, that's a bit of a stretch. There's this pencil-drawn sequence in the beginning that's basically a highlights of episodes 1 to 3. It even says that on the thing. This, it's displayed like, I don't know, a special features on a DVD or something, and it shows like, oh, here's what happens in episode 1 to 3 to like give background and somewhat set the tone for what's to come. And it's like, it's not even animated. It's just, it screams, we ran out of money and we didn't have enough money to pay animators to actually make an animated section of this. And we sure as hell didn't have enough money to get actors to go out and film this stuff. So we just had one artist sit down with a pen and paper and draw this with their hand. So draw this by hand. So yeah, that's just what it feels like. In this opening. They dragged poor Christopher Lambert into this nonsense, man. Poor Christopher Lambert, man. They dragged poor Christopher Lambert into this nonsense. He plays a gun dealer who gets his ass kicked and he gets robbed by the leader of this neo-Marxist group looking to affect the results of this upcoming election. So, what's happening? This neo-Marxist group goes to Christopher Lambert to buy guns, and when it comes time to pay up, the chick is like, she writes him a check. And he's like, well, what the hell is this? Like what? You want a personal check or something? Like, no, I don't want a freaking check. Look, I sell guns. What the? There's something seriously wrong with this woman. Like, wrong with these people. You have something against, you're a neo-Marxist group, and you have something against capitalism, but you're paying with checks. Don't you have cash? Like, what the? How are you paying for any of this? Who the hell buys guns with a check? Like, you're a revolutionary group, and you're buying weapons with a means that can be traced back to you. That's just dumb. Anyway, moving on. The setup for the movie is that there's this guy, Centauros. I think that's how the movie says. Centauros. He's this. He's The Rock. He's The Rock's character. He's going on a ride along with Sean William Scott's character, who's a cop. Well, he's not really a cop. He's a twin. Okay, I'll save the full explanation for later, but he's a exact he's a twin of this cop, and he's going on a ride along with him as part of research for this screenplay that he wrote. So, one thing to notice about The Rock in this movie is that he hadn't quite gotten down his acting yet. He wasn't yet the Dwayne Johnson we know now in Hollywood. Yep, because like whenever he talks in the movie, especially for long ass periods, it feels like he's just cutting a promo. Like seriously, listen to a 2000s rock promo, like any like 2002 or 2003 from back in the day on like SmackDown or something, and it's night and day, man. He like the inflection in his voice, how he uses his hands, stuff like that. This movie came out in 2007. It feels like it was made way before that. Yeah, and in his pitch for the screenplay, so there's a funny moment between him and Sarah Michelle Gellar where she's like, yeah, this woman will be playing the oceanography disaster specialist, and she's like astrophysicist, and he says the oceanography disaster specialist in his like promo voice. It's like whatever. That was kind of funny. Yeah. So in this little premise, he's living in a house with his girlfriend. He was in the desert a while back. He has no memory of how he got back to LA, but he did, and he wound up shacking up with this adult film star, Krista Now. Yeah, her name is Krista Now because, well, there's like a dozen different Kristas in the industry she's in, so she's called herself Krista Now to differentiate because she's all about the now. Ugh. Yes, people, it's as dumb as it sounds. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, playing an adult film actress. Not only an adult film actress, but an airheaded adult film actress. So, yeah. Ooh, these characters, but Richard Kelly said he cast these actors in these roles because he felt like they were pigeonholed in certain roles, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because like The Rock hadn't really become the Dwayne Johnson we know now. So to say he was pigeonholed into certain roles is kind of pushing it. But anyway, Sarah Michelle Gellar was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and here she is playing a woman who's kind of an airhead. She's playing, I don't know, she's playing what you would expect, like I don't know, the stereotypical adult film actor. Like you expect him to be not too bright, self-absorbed. She's basically playing Triple X Paris Hilton. I don't know, just I'm not saying Paris Hilton is not too bright. I'm just saying the stereotypical idea of Paris Hilton, basically. Anyway, she's also got a reality show. So yeah, I don't know, she's like, although the fact that she's with The Rock means she's more Kim Kardashian than Paris Hilton. So do with that what you will. Anyway, this goes on the ride along for this screenplay. Will Sasso is here playing, I can't remember his name, but he's like The Rock's friend in this scene. I think he's also Krista's manager. I don't know. The movie has a scene where a truck. I forgot about this. I remember before I even saw this movie, I saw this scene, and the movie has a scene where a truck full on doggy styles another truck in a CGI advert, and then like when they're watching it's an ad for that truck. It's an ad for this truck. It's when the damn truck there's two trucks parked rear to rear. Then the one truck turns around and just hops on the back of the other truck and then doggy styles it with the tailpipe. Like who the hell? Who asked for this? Is this supposed to be funny? Even the people in the movie are like, what the heck am I watching? Because like the senator watching this goes, did I just see two cars pork each other? And then the scene just moves on. Like it has this line about like, that's not going to play in America. That's the European ad. Because I don't know, apparently Europeans are more lax with that kind of thing. A dig at Europe. I don't know. This is just some of the biting satire in this. I don't know what this is, but in Southland Tales. Heh. Oh shoot. There's these Starship Troopers Would You Like to Know More type videos that pop up randomly throughout the movie. They have little to do with the film. It's just they kind of serve to transition between scenes. But like they largely feel, even though they have little to do, they largely kind of feel, aside from being transitionary, they feel like they're filling time or giving exposition that the movie forgot to do. Yeah. You think that if you put exposition in the form of an advert or a pop-up that this is clever, but like When Paul Verhoeven did it, at least he was making a point. It was actually satire, and at least he did it with some style. I loved his "I'd buy that for $1" in RoboCop, but like this is not that. This ain't that. Whew. Speaking of randomly throughout, we get Justin Timberlake in here. Oh yeah, good old Justin Timberlake. Yeah. I mean, before he was getting busted for DUIs, man, in this movie looked like he'd been in a freaking DUI. Like, damn, his face was all scarred up and shit. So yeah, he's in there. He's in this movie, and he's randomly quoting Bible verses throughout, like random. He narrates the movie in the beginning, and think towards the end. And not only that, but like, yeah, but like he's quoting Bible verses, and he's like a sniper on a watchtower somewhere, and he spends most of his time just reading Bible verses instead of doing his job, keeping a lookout. So he's kind of lousy at his job. But hey, man, this neither here nor there. Moving on. Oh, this popped up. We got a pop star in the movie. We gotta have him sing something. He has this song and dance number in this movie. Well, he lip sync. There's no singing in this scene. He's lip syncing to the song "All These Things I've Done" by the Killers. And Richard Kelly in interviews would claim that this scene was the heart and soul of the movie. Really? A drug trip where a character sings a song or lip syncs a song, walks around an arcade in a drug fueled haze, and imagines sexy nurses popping up out of nowhere before dumping a can of beer on his head is the heart and soul of the whole movie? Really? This, a scene you could cut out completely and it wouldn't affect the story, is somehow the heart and soul? I mean, like, when Zack Snyder said Cyborg is like the beating heart of the movie, it actually made sense. Because when you watch, Justice League and, Cyborg's story is largely cut out, it's like, this film's not quite as good. It's an okay movie, but it's like, could have been better. His character feels like it's just fleshed out. He feels like he just rocks up out of nowhere. But like in Zack Snyder's Justice League, all 4 hours of it, you get Cyborg's full story, and it's like, damn, Zack Snyder wasn't joking. Man really is the heart and soul of the movie. He's the beating heart. He's the most human guy in the movie. And that's in a movie that has Superman in it. Like, yeah, he's all machine, but he's still got a heart, man. He's got a heart of gold. He's a solid dude. And if you cut all this stuff out, it does affect the large parts of the movie. But yeah, ain't that. Okay? Justin Timberlake ain't Ray Fisher. Okay? This character is not Cyborg. Kevin Smith is in this movie as this like long, bearded, wrinkly faced, wizard looking guy who's seemingly responsible for all the ads that have been playing throughout the film, since he's like sitting behind a terminal pressing buttons, and then like we cut to an ad and he's like watching cameras and stuff. So okay, he's there. Man, what if he directed this? Would it make more or less sense? Discuss. I'm just kidding, man. Dude was coming off movies like Dogma, and I'm like, that's why I'm like, man, would he wonder if he directed this? It might have been better. He's a Star Wars guy, so he might have made it a little more Star Wars, a little less Verhoeven, which might have improved the quality a little bit. But like, let me just say, nobody does Verhoeven like Verhoeven. Anyone who tries, just no, don't do that. Bai Ling is in this movie as the right-hand woman of this bad guy, the Baron. I don't know if he's the bad guy or he's just an idiot. I guess like the movie has him saying nasty things, but he's not the bad guy. One could argue the Marxist movement are the bad guys, but at the same time, it's like, you could argue that the Sorrento's actual like wife and family, like they're the bad guys, but like it seems like it's more like, yeah, it's kind of like that. Like there's this movie's confusing. Whatever. What was I gonna say? Damn. Oh, I forgot to tell you. This movie, I'll save that for the final thoughts. Yeah, I'll save that for the final thoughts. So yeah, The Rock went on this ride along with Sean William Scott's character, the clone slash twin, whatever. And the plan was that they would get him on tape with a racist cop, hang out with like Sean William Scott's character is playing a racist cop, and they'd get all this on tape, and they would get an execution on tape of this black guy and this white woman killed by this racist cop, and they would make sure to get a shot of Santaros's character in the shot. So it's like, oh no, hey, Mr. Politician, your wife's husband was in this tape with is not on we not only have footage of your wife's husband shacking up with this known adult film actress, but we also have tape of him in the midst of we also have tape of him present during a shooting where a cop killed somebody. So yeah, we're gonna blackmail you into affecting the results of the elation. Signed, Deep Throat 2. Ugh, I wouldn't have gone with that name. Yeah, I know there was an informant back in the days of Watergate called Deep Throat, but nowadays that phrase takes on a whole new meaning. You do not want to be calling yourself Deep Throat in this day and age unless you're in a certain profession. And this woman is a neo-Marxist and wants to be taken seriously, even though what they do, I'm pretty sure they don't really know Marxist ideology like that. But Krista now steals the tape implicating Santaros in the murder, thinking it's the tape of her and Santaros as opposed to the tape of the murder. And she wants to put it on her reality show, The Marxists find out that the tape is missing. They were going to use it to blackmail, but it's like, oh no, the tape is gone. So they chase after Krista, and the ensuing chase and attempting to shoot the woman ends up getting the remaining neo-Marxists taken out as they try to get it back. So Krista takes the tape straight to the Baron. I think she knows him somehow, because later I don't know if they hook up, because there's a scene where like the Baron is coming out of this like room and he's in a robe, and then Krista and her friends also come out wearing robes. So I'm like, did they hook up? Does she actually like love this dude, or does she actually like The Rock, or whatever, man. There's so many things here that don't make sense. But anyway, so yeah, throughout the movie, after the shootout, that really wasn't a shootout. This shootout fell to pieces. This plan fell to pieces because this other cop, this actual racist cop, played by John Lovitz, showed up during their ride-along, and he shot the black guy and the white woman for real. So they got that on tape, an actual racist cop doing the shooting. And it's later revealed that he was working with the neo-Marxist, but I'm confused. So if the neo-Marxists already had this plan to get this shooting on tape, and pretend to shoot these two people, but not really, just a fake, basically. I'm not even gonna try to explain anything. This movie doesn't make much sense, man. It's just, if he's working with them, why did he shoot these people for real? Why do you need someone to shoot these people for real? Why can't you have the guy shows up and he pops these people for real, but the neo-Marxists still set off the squibs, as if it was fake. Like, they don't know what's happening. But then it's like, oh yeah, he's actually with them, so they did know what was happening. But what? Yeah, whatever. Moving on. After this scene, The Rock's character, he runs off. He runs away. He's afraid, and he gets a phone call from this random chick, and she's giving him information. She gives him information throughout the film, and where to go, who's gonna help him, and who to contact, and things like that. Also, throughout this movie, The Rock's character does this weird thing with his hands when he gets nervous. Like he's really, I don't know, neurotic something. It's weird seeing The Rock play this character, man. This kind of character. After seeing The Rock be in movies like Fast Five, The Rundown, and Tooth Fairy, where it's weird seeing him play this character like this, and I'm just like, what the hell is this? What is this dude? This big ass dude is playing a wimp, basically. I'm like, I get it. Nobody's bulletproof. You can't have him be a wimp for most of the movie, and then later on, when he comes face to face with Will Sasso's character, have him be like, all right, I'm gonna take this dude on, take his shirt off, and he's about to throw down with this guy. I'm like, wait a minute, weren't you a wimp for 60% of the movie until now? Now you're ready to throw down with Will Sasso? Just and then at the end of the movie, he's this Christ-like figure. I'm just like, what? Ugh. This is See, this is what happens when you got one guy calling the shots in almost every which way, but ugh. You would think there was like a script supervisor or something, or a studio head who read this and went, really? This is what you went with? This is what you sat down and wrote after 9/11? This was your response to 9/11? This? Yeah. Moving on. Moving on. The chick who's been giving him information. Y'all can tell I am struggling here. I am struggling. I wrote these. I wrote notes down so that I could explain this properly, and I am struggling to explain. And I took notes, man. Imagine someone watching this cold. I saw this movie more than once, and I'm still confused. Damn. Imagine the people way back when this movie came out. Like this movie is so confusing. You're like, I don't like. Imagine seeing this for the first time in the theater and coming out like, wow, wait, what? And like, the only way to make sense of it is to go back and watch it again and like really focus this time. But I wouldn't go back and pay money to watch this. I wouldn't pay money to watch a movie that left me leaving the theater thinking, what did I just watch? Like, whatever. The chick was giving him information throughout the film. She shows up and she gives Santero some more information. And she tells him about a dead body that was found out in the desert in his car before asking that he remembers her. And you're like, no, basically saying like, I like, okay, before you leave, remember me. Remember my name. I'm like, he doesn't know your name. He doesn't know your name. It's just a mysterious voice in the thing. Thing is, the scene that explains like she found his script, and apparently she like, this is what I gleaned. She found his script, read through it, and like latched on to one of the characters, and essentially she basically believes that character is her. She is that character, and that character is the love interest in his script. So like she's basically playing out his script, and his screenplay is basically the events of the movie. They tell you point blank at the beginning of the movie when Santeros is laying out his pitch to freaking Sean William Scott's character. Here's what's gonna happen in the movie. I didn't believe it. I just thought, oh well, whatever. That's what's gonna happen in his script. No, it's what's happening in the movie. And they lay it all out at the beginning. And looking back, it's like, man, I should have turned this off then and there. But hey, moving on. Moving on. She says, the remember my name lady says they're listening, they're watching, even though the only person watching, the only person that's watching, actually, there's only one person watching. He can't even hear what they're saying. It's Timberlake's character. And he's not even watching that much. Every now and then he'll like look back at his little Bible, say some Bible nonsense, and then that somehow, some way, I don't know, that's supposed to relate to what's happening, but it really doesn't. And then he'll like, okay, I've spouted my biblical, let's go back to looking at the peeps on the beach. So he goes back to like, he's actually watching this, but he can't hear what's going on because he's way out like watching with the sniper rifle. So yeah, this leads to her yelling the absolute bonkers line of, if you don't let me, if you don't, I'm trying to keep this PG. I'm trying to see if I can keep a whole video PG. I've probably failed, but I'm going to try to keep this PG. It sounds, if you don't let me fellatiate you, I'll off myself. Take your pants off right now or I'm going to pull the trigger. Like, what the hell? And he seems like he's down to do it. He's like, like, I'm going to make your dreams come. Basically, he's like, I'm going to make your dreams come true. I'm going to make you feel like a woman. We can go to we can go to a hotel room that's not far from here. Like, seems like he's down to do it before she gets blasted by Timberlake with the sniper rifle. Because, like, she had the gun to her head and it seemed like she would actually do it. And this movie has a very anti-suicide message, which is okay. I'm all for that, but like, you did this in such a weird ass way, man. Anyway, moving on from that, we get the scene with Sasso, and Santeros gets taken back to his house, and he's in front of his wife, his like wife who he doesn't remember, and I think like he start. Normally, when you have an amnesiac character, as time goes on, they start to remember who they are, and they get back pieces of themselves. Before in the end, it's like bam, they know everything about them, who they used to be. That doesn't happen here till way into the movie. You know, it's like, oh, he has no idea who he is. That's why he's with Krista now, and that's why he's this like screenwriter. He doesn't know who he really is. He doesn't know he's got a wife. He doesn't know he's married to this woman who's like, related to this big shot politician. He doesn't know that. Sean William Scott's character even asked him, "So what does your wife think about all this?" He's like, "My wife? I'm not married." Like, what the? Aren't you? Aren't you married to so and so who's connected to this like powerful politician? He's like, "Nah, man, I ain't married. What are you talking about?" Like, well, whatever. Moving on, they go back to this house and they go back to the house and his wife, played by this, I'm not Ashley Simpson. I don't remember who, but she's played by an actress. She's played by a musician, basically. She's played by a musician, and she basically talks trash about Krista now. And The Rock defends her like, hey, like she's not just this. She's got this going on. She's got a reality show, and she's got a drink, like an energy drink. I've tasted it, and it's like really damn good. Like he speaks up for her, like he's a real gentleman, and then he undermines it all. Like, may I see that adult film you have over there? Like, it's like because his wife had this adult film that Krista was in, and she was using it as proof. Like, this is the kind of woman you shacking up with, and he's like, he undermines the fact that he stood up for her, by being like, "Hey, can I see that adult film right there?" He's like, "No, man, what the." Uh, whatever. Whatever. In there's this really well done one take throughout this blimp. All the characters in the movie converge on this one blimp where this big party is happening, and there's this really well done one take throughout the blimp that shows all the different characters on board, all the different characters that have popped up throughout the movie that have survived the events of the movie so far, have somehow made it on board this blimp. It shows what they're doing and how they're all, you know, in one proximity. They're connected to each other in a way, and different plot lines all converge in one place. No matter how different the stories may have started, they all converge in this one spot. It's a sign that Richard Kelly is somewhat capable of making a solid film. This is a really great one take, but it's too little too late. It comes in an hour and 45 minutes in. By this point, you've checked out. I had a rule about movies, right? I got a rule about movies. You have 45 minutes to get me to keep watching. Give me a reason to keep watching, or I'm out. So by this point, I've checked out already. I'm not focusing anymore. I haven't noticed the names that keep popping up as Centauros and Krista now. That's because I checked out so long ago. I don't remember anybody's freaking names. They're not worth remembering. They really don't matter. Why do you think I keep calling Sean William Scott's character Sean William Scott? It doesn't matter what his name is. Losing my mind out here, man. There's no salvaging this film at this point. Doesn't matter if it suddenly starts to make sense now. It does. I'll give it props. When they get on the blimp, the movie actually starts making sense. It actually flows like a proper movie. But by now, it's too late, man. Like, damn, it's like, where was this movie an hour and 45 minutes ago? Whatever, man. Yeah. Oh, the story Santeros pitched in the beginning is what's actually happening. And it all gets explained in this exposition scene. Basically, this movie's Warlock scene, which is funny because this movie also has Kevin Smith in it. What happens is, the people explaining this to Santeros say, they detected a rift in space-time and sent monkeys to test if it could be traveled through. All the monkeys died, not because the rift was poisonous to living things, but according to Santeros, only a human can make that trip. The soul of a monkey can't survive. The soul of a monkey can't survive the dimensional threshold. So they sent in a celebrity instead of an astronaut through the rift. As a way of trying to say, like, this is like Richard Kelly being like, hey, he's trying to comment on like how celebrities often get involved with critical decision making, like crossovers between celebrity and politics or celebrity and national interest. Like we value celebrities more than, I don't know, some kind of commentary on how we value celebrities more than people qualified for this kind of thing. Like, yeah, we remember Neil Armstrong because he's a kind of a celebrity astronaut. We don't remember any of the other like 20 people who went up to the moon because like they're the guys who came after. They don't have any. They don't got no movies to them. Whatever. I get it, man, but like, there's also the whole conspiracy plot kind of ties into that too because, well, this it's using this celebrity and like a scandal that he could potentially be wrapped up in to influence an election. So yeah, it's just something. This doesn't seem like something you would give to like CNN. It doesn't. Yes, this politician's daughter's husband wrapped up in scandal. It's like this feels more like a TMZ story than a CNN story. It would greatly impact that wife's reputation and might like stay in the family name somewhat, but it won't affect the election. I mean, not to like a significant enough degree that the neo-Marxists think it would. But anyway, oh man. So yeah, a year ago, I said I was gonna save this for later in the review, but like a year ago, I watched this movie for the first time. That's right. I saw this movie a year ago. This is another movie that I watched a year ago and I couldn't finish. Not because, dude, with Pursuit, I couldn't finish because I genuinely just didn't like the main character. I didn't care whether he's sweet or not. I hated that guy. But in this movie gave me a headache when I first saw it. I saw it a year ago. I had only seen 30 minutes of it and it was already giving me a headache. I am not exaggerating. This is not hyperbole. This movie genuinely hurt my brain to watch. It feels like it's being weird just to be weird, but it takes itself too seriously to be weird in a funny way. God damn, man. This damn movie, man. This is kind of what happens when you just let creatives run riot, man. Like there's nobody there to rein them in. I'm not saying there are times when studio meddling actively gets in the way of a good movie, and then there are times where just letting the director do whatever the hell he wants with the script that he wrote, and let's be real, like produced or whatever, letting the director and the director, writer, producer, all the same guy, can be a detriment to a film. There has to be that one guy to be like, there has to be at least one guy, either a representative for a studio or someone that partnered with the director or just someone on set or one of the actors to be like, I don't think that's going to work when a dumb idea is presented. This is a case of whatever, man. Whatever. Moving on. There's so many things that just felt whatever. This movie gave me a headache a year ago, and an hour in, it just confused me. An hour and 55 minutes in, this film was actively putting me to sleep. Remember I said an hour and 45 minutes in, like, this movie starts getting good? Well, 10 minutes after that, it's starting to put me to sleep. I kid you not, I was generally getting tired watching this. It takes 2 hours for the movie to actually make total sense and explain what everything is about. See, that little expedition dump, like, whatever, that was fine and all that, but like, dude, it takes 2 hours for the movie to make sense and tell you what everything has been. These seemingly nonsensical, disconnected stories are actually connected somehow, in their own tangential ways. Let me explain. The Santeros we've been following is actually one of two people. This is one from the fourth dimension, while the other one, who is dead, he was the dead body that was found in like Santero's car, who was blown up by Bai Ling's character, is the one that's from the dimension that, they're in now. Sean William Scott's character, they're not twin brothers. One is actually from another dimension and he crossed over into this one. And apparently, if they interact with each other, if they shake hands, the fourth dimension will collapse in on itself like matter and antimatter. You stupid bitch! There's a line in there like he's talking to Bai Ling and he gives her a kiss and he calls her like, you stupid bitch. And he walks away. What the hell? This film suddenly turns into a purge movie as ordinary citizens arm themselves with guns from Christopher Lambert's van, and they take to taking out the UPU officers. UPU. In this movie, we don't have LAPD. We have UPU officers, like Urban Protection Unit, I think is what they're called, as well as attacking the offices of US Ident. What's US Ident? Doesn't matter. Move on. The film just says, screw it, and it offs everyone in this huge explosion caused by an RPG fired at the Zeppelin by this do-rag wearing wigger. And the two Sean William Scotts are ascending into the air as they're surrounded by a bright light while they're shaking hands, while the so-called collapse of the fourth dimension doesn't seem to happen. Meanwhile, people on the ground just continue partying, oblivious to all the, purge craziness, the spinning van in the sky, the giant light coming down, the van, the blimp blowing up. Just continue partying. We just cut the, one of the last things we see is Justin Timberlake, drinking with a bunch of other people. And it ends with Timberlake's narration as we zoom in on Sean William Scott's eyes. We see all this crazy CGI going on in his eyes while he's shaking his, dimensional counterpart's hand. And the final line of the movie is, because he is a pimp, and pimps don't commit suicide. May as well have queued up the damn CSI theme to play right after that, man. Because the movie cuts to black. Because it would have been funny if they did that. I don't know if CSI Miami was a show back then, but damn, man, you should have had that moment. You could have Sean William Scott, the camera zooming in on him, have angelic music in the background, and then say, because he is a pimp, and pimps don't commit suicide. Oh, I am making myself laugh. God damn it! This movie ain't that funny. God damn, this ain't. They don't. That's not. Whatever. Final thoughts on this film. I am now getting into here and now. Whew. You know how that guy on Mr. Chris, everybody hates Chris, that mortician who lives up, Mr. Levine, I think. No, not Mr. Levine. That's the white guy. So he's up. So he lives up on one of the rooms in the building that Chris's family lives in. For years, I didn't know that they owned that building and they were the landlords. I didn't know that, but yeah. So he lives up there, the mortician, and every now and then, when something would happen, he would just say, "Oh, it's tragic." But that's what this movie is, except instead of tragic, it's nonsense, man. Nonsense. Moving on. What is my final review of this? The final review of this disaster piece. I give it a 2 out of 10, man. Yeah, I give it a 2 out of 10. This film is the result of a director having a hit movie and then everybody stroking his ego, giving a nice big stroke, making him grow a big head. And then he somehow manages to jam it right up his own ass, despite the size of it all, and proceeding to make this film with nobody there to keep him in check or edit down scenes that don't need to be there. There's plenty of times in the movie where I was left wondering, what the hell am I watching? And by the end, I was left wondering, what the hell did I just watch? This starts out simple. It's a story about an election and blackmail, and then it spirals into some end of days story with characters saying throughout the movie, this is how the world ends, not with a whimper, but with a bang. Well, this is how I end my review, buddy. I give you a 2 out of 10, and this is how my review ends. Not with a big bang, not with a whimper, but a big FU. Okay. I've said what I can about the story, but the actual actors in the movie, here's what I think. Bai Ling in this movie plays her role as the Baron's right-hand lady pretty well. The movie doesn't give her a lot to do, but the stuff she does do, she plays pretty well. She's like the Mercy to his Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor had this chauffeur / bodyguard, and she's kind of like that, but she doesn't have a lot to do. She certainly plays her role in this movie better than the role she had in Wild Wild West, even though they're kind of the same character. This movie has more scenes in this movie, so she's got more to work with. I'll give her props in that regard. Sean William Scott, really underrated actor. Known for movies like American Pie and I guess Cop Out, another Kevin Smith joint. But I know this is not one of his best films. This is if you can avoid this, man. They say a movie WB would have us believe Batgirl was a movie so bad that it tarnish the careers of everyone in it. Dude, this movie is a movie so bad it like affects the movies of everyone in it. You'll think most of these people who are relatively good actors can't act. Like The Rock speaks like he's cutting a promo. Like speaks at different points like he's cutting a promo, and they give him this stuff that is supposed to sound deep, but if you think about it, is actually pretty dumb or like overly clunky. And he keeps doing these weird things with his hands. Like he's sitting at a table asking someone a question and he's like moving his hands a lot. And he's like, I don't know, like he's doing these weird things. I don't like the weird, he's not a character per se. He's a series of like tics and mannerisms that are designed solely to spew dialogue and exposition until, and like ask nonsense philosophical questions until the end of the movie where he's like, okay, now that I know who I am, I can actually start acting like a real person. But like, moving on, the neo-Marxist people, the main chick in charge of that, she's, I don't know, she's more villain than the politicians, more villain than the Baron. Like she's arguably the biggest villain out of all of them. Like considering like how she treats the people around her, like how obnoxious she is, like someone who thinks they're so right that they actively ignore any evidence that might contradict them. Yeah, that's her in a nutshell, man. She's annoying that way. But damn, dude. What else? Who else is in this train wreck? The senator guy was pretty funny. He did have like the one scene where like he was hearing out the ransom demand from Deep Throat 2, and he like told her like, I've seen your little tape. I think it stinks, and the United States does not negotiate with terrorists, so suck it, lady. And like hung up on her. Like that was a pretty good scene. So yeah, I did. And he's the same guy who's like, did I just see two cars pork each other? Like I did like that. Kristen now, like, I don't know about this movie is they want her to be like the stereotypical adult film actress, but at the same time are concerned with having her seem too stereotypical and airheaded to the point like, I don't know, her plot just becomes like you're having this woman play a bimbo or something. That, you know, they'll have her say something like she'll randomly be sitting there watching TV and then she just says stigmata. I'm like, what? What does that have to do with anything? But like, this is a movie full of people doing the best they can with what they're given. Some of the people who, a lot of the people can't, at this stage in their careers, a lot of the cast couldn't take crummy material and like rework it so that it worked. The Rock wasn't there yet. Like he could cut a fire promo on TV, but if you gave him crap to say, like this was at the point like he would just say that. He wasn't yet high profile enough or had enough stroke to be like, okay, I'm gonna change this because this is some nonsense. I'm gonna change this into something that makes a little more sense. And like, what are you gonna do about it? You can't really stop me, man. Like this is some nonsense right here. But hey, who else is really Lambert? Poor Christopher Lambert. Why they drag this poor man into this nonsense? The original Highlander himself is in this, and as the gun dealer, like he's actually kind of entertaining. Like she asked him, like, what, you want a personal check? He's like, no, I don't want. He's like, no, I don't want to check. He's like, what are you? He's like, get out of my. And like, he's the one of the few people in this movie that feel like an actual person reacting to all this craziness. So he was essentially not Frasier. He was essentially Becker. I don't know what it is, but when I see Christopher Lambert in this movie, for some reason I see Becker from that show Becker, like Dr. Becker or whatever. Anyway, moving on from that, the Baron, the guy playing the Baron, Richard Kelly said he casts people to play against type. That guy is not playing against type. He's just a lot more rude. Like he's like, I don't know. He's playing the same characters he would normally play if they were rich. Like, okay, now he's rich. He's got all this money. He's created this invention that converts like water into energy, and that's like powering the city or something. Or that's what's causing crazy things to happen. Or like, I don't know, there was something in The Rock's pitch about like the Earth's rotation slowing down by 0.0000001%. and like the magnetic poles being affected by that is causing people to go crazy. And I think that's what the movie explains, the sudden purge movie that it turns into towards the third act. But yeah, we don't get no final stamp on that. So it's not definitively said that, yes, that is what happening. Like, I'm just left to assume that that's what's happening. Justin Timberlake. Oh, boy. Good old Justin Timberlake. Old bloodshot eyes himself. Man, I don't... man, I don't know what to say here, man. Like, this dude... the part he plays pretty well. The song and dance number, he does pretty well. I mean, that's what he does for a living. He sings. He does know how to dance and sing, even though he doesn't actually sing. He just lip syncs. And apparently when they filmed this scene, Richard Kelly didn't have the rights to use this song and had to actually get them so that he could keep the scene in the movie. I'm like, wouldn't you do that ahead of time? If you're a professional filmmaker, wouldn't you secure the rights to a song before you put it in the movie so to make sure that you can actually use it? But whatever, man. Whatever. So much nonsense. So, yeah. This is normally when you come to a movie like this, it's a movie that starts out okay and then falls to pieces towards the end. This movie started out in pieces and then slowly started to assemble itself towards the end. And then, but by that point, the movie's wrapping up. We need to end things. So what do we do? How do we have this an ending? Let's do the Tarantino thing and just off everybody in a big, ending. Like, let's just off all the main characters. Like, damn. Cut to black. Yeah, everyone's done. The story doesn't have a conclusion. It just ends. We don't see whether the fourth dimension collapses. We don't find out the results of the election. Nobody gets a happy ending in this because no one survives, man. Like, nobody lives to get an ending. It's just an ending. Moving on. Yeah, that's all I got to say on this, man. I can't. If I say anything else, I'd just be repeating myself. This has been Moonlight Kingdom Reviews, and we have just reviewed the ever-confusing, ever-nonsensical Southland Tales, directed by Richard Kelly. Please, folks, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and thank you. Thank you for... Well, I got like 160 subscribers now, so thank you to all you subscribers out there who've joined us this year. Thank you for always being there. Yeah. Enjoy yourselves, y'all. Have a good 2024. And that's all I got to say. Goodbye. Be well. And don't watch this movie. Yeah, just don't watch this movie. If you're a fan of The Rock, or if you don't like The Rock, don't watch this. It's not funny. It's not enjoyable. Bye.
Recall the past real vaguely. I remember everything they say. Maybe thought that I was crazy, thinking that one day they'd see my name. Love being a loner, always moving closer. Knew exactly what I wanted to have. Fear of growing older, chip all on my shoulder. Told myself I'm never looking back, and now I'm home today. I'm losing my innocence, and you don't know my intent. And now you better back down, 'cause I'm coming for you. 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 know my intent. And now you better back down, cause I'll be coming for you.